topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to Powerful Business Strategies, where you will find out that everything you have ever learned about growing your business is wrong. Finally, a show where you'll learn the right way to grow your business by learning business and financial strategies that your competition isn't doing. And now, here is your host, President of Next Step CFO, Michael Barbarita. And joining Michael for today's show as an executive moderator is Chucky Obio.
Yes, this is Chucky, and I believe that gratitude is undefeated and growth is about the next step. It is an honor for me to moderate today's discussion with my good friend, Michael. Michael, how are you?
Excellent, Chucky. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Yeah, look, Michael, this is our first show in November, the month of gratitude. So I'm even more energized than normal.
There you go. And as Chucky said, my name is Michael Barbarita, president of Next Step CFO. And Next Step CFO is a fractional CFO and strategic implementation firm. Our vision is to ensure overwhelmed business owners achieve the time freedom and consistent profits to build a legacy and the life they desire. Our mission to that end is dedicated to guiding small business owners to leveraging their time, exploding their profits, and build that meaningful legacy. This show, Powerful Business Strategies, and our book of the same name, is a step toward accomplishing that vision and mission. And so with that, I'd like to hand it back to my co-author and moderator for the show, Chucky Obio.
Michael, thank you. Look, quite energized by today's episode. It's titled The Art of Client Retention and Increasing Frequency of Sales. So before we really get into it, I believe Michael has quite a bit of insights prepared for us. In addition to that, we have quite a few business owners coast to coast that are tuned in for today's episode. So it should be a really dynamic conversation. Quick disclaimer, Michael and I are both affiliated with a number of different organizations. I currently serve as the managing director of business development for Vedder Price, a global business-focused law firm. Now, in addition to that, it's truly an honor for me to collaborate with Michael to moderate business roundtables and document best practices from those insights and roundtables as part of our book called Powerful Business Strategies. But please note that the views expressed today on this show are our personal views based on personal success stories and experiences. And my mission as a fearless moderator is to ask the right questions to help you, the listener, learn the best strategies that the competition isn't doing. Michael, back over to you.
Thank you, Chucky. So today we're going to talk about something that most business owners avoid pretty much. And that's keeping and growing their existing customer base. Now, we business owners, many times when we get new customers, unconsciously, we think that we get to keep these customers by default. Well, as you know, nothing could be further from the truth. And you know what amazes me, Chucky, is that businesses spend thousands of dollars chasing new customers, to which we know from our show on the buyer's journey, yes, that only 1 to 3% of any market at any time are ready to buy now. So businesses spend thousands of dollars chasing that 1 to 3% while ignoring the gold mine sitting right in their customer database. And furthermore, if you go back to our show at powerfulbusinessstrategies.com regarding the 7-step pathway to profit formula, you'll see that one of the things that business owners need to focus on is both client retention and frequency of sale. How often do they buy? Which are the subjects of today's show. So did you know that it costs 5 times more to acquire a new customer than to keep an existing one?
Wow.
And even more shocking than that, repeat customers spend 67% more per purchase than new customers. And then taking that a step further, once the customer buys from you, there's a 34% chance that they'll buy something else. Yet most business owners chase new customers while letting their existing ones slip away. And the thrust of this show is going to be about how do you retain those customers, and how do you get them buy more often. So a client of mine who owned a remodeling business was constantly spending money on marketing to get new customers. But his existing customers were only using him once every 3 or 4 years, when they needed a major remodeling job done. And when we looked at his customer database, we discovered something that was really something. His customers were doing smaller home improvement projects every single year, but they were using his competitors.
Wow.
Why? Well, because he never stayed in touch with them after the big project was done. And this is what I call the one and done trap. Most businesses think they're finished. Once they complete the sale, the job is finished. But here's what successful businesses know: the sale is just the beginning of the relationship. So let's talk about 3 major mistakes business owners make with client retention.
Great.
And folks, these mistakes are costing you a fortune.
It's interesting. And Michael, before we jump into those 3 mistakes, and I think folks are anticipating the powerful insights that you have with that, why do we think business owners fall into that one and done trap, particularly small business owners?
I think it's they worry about getting to the next job. What's happening next? And they're not really looking at their business strategically and saying, how can I, only when all of a sudden the phone's not ringing.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they look at that possibility. But by then it's really, it's a process.
Exactly.
The buyer goes through a journey, and there's a process associated with that. In the case of my client here with the remodeling company, it started when they did the first big job, but the clients never called them other than 3 or 4 years later when they wanted to do another big job. But all the little jobs, and by the way, a big job to that client was like, a $400,000 job and more. But in the meantime, they were getting $50,000 to $75,000 jobs done by the competitor.
With real revenue impact. Impact.
That's exactly right. It's really real revenue impact. And so the competitor was doing that work. And it was, once the client discovered that, it changed the game for him. So the first major mistake is that business owners don't track their customer retention rate. There's a customer retention rate, and that sounds basic, but I can't tell you how many business owners I meet have no idea what percentage of their customers come back. And they might know their total sales, they might know their profit margins, but they don't know if the customers they served in the last year are still with them this year. And there's a simple way to calculate that retention rate. So I'm going to say it once and then just repeat it, maybe in a different way so that you understand it. But the simple way to calculate your retention rate is you take the number of customers that you had at the start of the year. How many customers did you service in the last year? Subtract any new customers you gained during the year and divide that by that starting number. And if you started with 100 customers, you gained 20 new ones during the year and ended up with 85 total customers, your retention rate was 65%. That means you lost 35% of your original customers. So let me walk that through that again. Because I really think this is important. If you started with 100 customers and you add 20 new customers, now you have a total of 120 customers. But you ended up with 85. Okay, so when you do that subtraction of 120 from the 85, you come up with 35. And because you started with 100, 35 divided by 100 is the 35% of customers that you actually lost.
Interesting.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because according to our research, Just a 5% increase in customer retention can increase profits by 25 to 95%. So think about that for a minute.
Remarkable.
So if you're currently keeping 65% of your customers and you improve that to 70, you can nearly double your profits. Not revenue, but profits. And so retaining customers and increasing their average sale has an incredible compound effect. The second major mistake is that business owners don't have a systematic way to stay in touch with customers. And let me share another story. An HVAC business who only contacted customers when their annual service was due. Meanwhile, their competitors were sending monthly maintenance tips, seasonal preparation guides, and energy saving suggestions. So guess what happened when those customers needed emergency repairs or wanted to upgrade a system? Well, they called the competitor who had been providing value all year long. And he fixed this HVAC company fixed this by implementing what he called the value touch system. Every month, his customers received something valuable, not a sales pitch, but genuine, useful information. He created a simple calendar. January was winter energy savings tips month. February was an indoor air quality month. March was a spring preparation checklist. April was the allergy season for HVAC maintenance, and so on. And his customer retention rate jumped from 62% to 89% in just 1 year. But, here's what's really fascinating. His referral rate tripled. Why? Because he wasn't just keeping customers, he was creating advocates. And these customers, even if they weren't buying something today, would tell others about it.
Exactly. With the value add touch points and maintenance tips.
That's right.
Really
That's right. It's really critical. And the third major mistake, which is the biggest killer of them all, is we business owners don't look for additional ways to serve existing customers. This is where most business owners leave the most money on the table. In other words, you must continuously look for ways, like, to your point, Shuki, to add more value. And let me give you an example from my own experience running Ski Town USA when I was in the ski business. Most ski shops just sell equipment and do basic repairs. What we should have done, we didn't do that. We just did what most ski shops did. We sold equipment and did basic repairs. But what we should have done is look at everything our customer needed throughout the year. And if we did that, we would have discovered that they needed off-season storage, pre-season tuning, mid-season performance adjustments, end-of-season maintenance, and family ski planning services. And each of this would have created a new revenue stream, but more importantly, each touch point would have strengthened our relationship with the customer. And we wouldn't be just a regular ski shop anymore. We would become their year-round outdoor recreation partner. Now, here's what's really powerful about this approach. When you serve existing customers in new ways, your marketing costs actually go down.
Yeah.
You don't need to be spending, you don't need to spend money convincing them to trust you. They already do. And so you don't need to overcome price objections. They already know your value. All you need to do is show them new ways that you can help. And I want you to think about your business right now, when was the last time you sat down and listed all the ways you could help your existing customers? When was the last time you actually asked them what other challenges they face? I bet there are at least 3 new services that you could offer tomorrow to existing customers if you just started asking the right questions. And here's the kicker. Your competitors are probably making these same 3 mistakes right now. They're chasing new customers, going after that 1 to 3% while ignoring their existing customer base. They're missing the opportunity to track, engage, and expand their services to their current customer base. So by doing this, you get what I call the winning edge.
Remarkable. Michael, look, you struck a chord here. We're getting quite a flurry of questions and comments. And do you have a couple of minutes for us to touch on some of this?
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
let's get after it. So, this idea of a customer retention rate, how is that impacted based on selling products or services?
Well, first of all, if you can retain, if you start the year with 100 customers and you pick up 30 new customers, and now at the end of the year you have 130 customers, then the products and services that you sell, you have just multiplied your profit because you kept the existing customers. Everybody who bought last year bought again this year, and then you added 30 customers. And so, and if you ask the right questions to these customers, you can get a better feel for what they need throughout the whole year in terms of product offerings. In terms of product, to answer your question, in terms of product offerings. Brilliant. So that communication with the customer is really, really critical.
And Michael, let's pick up on that, right? So I think a few more comments relate to this idea of communication with the customer. So would you recommend something like a customer satisfaction survey? That's one element of the question, and then I'll get to the second element of the question.
Yeah. So there. Well, I think customer satisfaction surveys, they're a starting point.
Okay.
But for the most part, you don't get a lot of people don't have the time to really put any real thought into them. And you can make them multiple choice questions.
Correct.
Which helps. But you don't really get the insight that you get from just if you have 100 customers, calling 10 of them will be incredible in terms of gaining valuable insight as to what they go through during a year when you're not servicing them.
Interesting.
And you can help them.
Yeah. And would you frame the conversation that way, right? So you would call up the customer and then just ask like, hey, what's keeping you up at night? What does your year look like? Those kinds of like service health check questions. Is that
without question, you can ask them the problems they're incurring, but you can also ask them, like in the case of the renovation client, he asked them, did they have any smaller jobs that they did during the year?
Interesting.
And the answer was always yes. And he didn't service them. They went somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, so the same thing could happen with the HVAC company. What other types what HVAC challenges do you have? Other than, having to install or a major job for equipment that, ran out of gas after 10 years.
Yeah. And then the second element on this, and Michael will absolutely take a next step after this, is you hit a touchstone of inspiration when you talked about how marketing costs can go down. So a lot of folks are really intrigued by that. How does this really, maybe give us a little bit more color, Michael, on how this actually helps marketing costs go down? Because as you know, a lot of small business owners complain about, the rising cost of marketing and advertising.
Right. So the reason is because you're nurturing your existing database, you don't have to get as many new clients. So therefore, your advertising costs can go down in terms of marketing to new clients, because you're getting so much business from your existing base that there's no need at the present capacity that you have. Now, if you go about an increased capacity, that's great, because now you can handle more of those customers, more of those clients existing, and add even more client customers. And in effect, it reduces your average cost to acquire a customer. So it really has this compound effect.
Very helpful.
And so what's really interesting is that when I share these insights with business owners, they often say things like, but Michael, I send my customers birthday cards, or they have a loyalty program, which is all great.
Yeah.
But it's not enough. I can tell you a story about a woman who owned a very successful hair salon. And she sent birthday cards, had a point system, all the usual stuff, but she was still losing customers. And the reason is because she was doing exactly what all the other salon owners in town were doing. No compelling offers, no strategic direction, no differentiation, no creativity, no real relationship building. And everybody else was sending birthday cards and had a point system. So she dug deeper into her customer base and she discovered that 70% of her clients were professional women aged 35 to 55. And these weren't just people who needed haircuts. These were busy professionals who viewed their appearance as part of their career success. And this thought process changed everything. She completely redesigned her retention strategy. So instead of just sending the birthday cards, she created what she called the Professional Image Program. And here's what it included: quarterly image consultation sessions, emergency touch-up appointments with priority scheduling, executive styling workshops, professional headshot partnerships with local photographers, which is another strategy we have about strategic partnerships, mobile styling services for those important events. And her revenue per customer doubled in 8 months. But here's what's really fascinating. Her customers started bringing their entire teams to the salon. So she went from serving individual professionals to becoming the go-to salon for entire companies. So it's really, really interesting. But before I go into my next story, Shuki, I'd like to just take a quick 90-second break.
Great.
Hey there, business owners. Let me ask you something. Are you tired of blending in with your competitors? Frustrated with slow growth and slim margins? Well, I've got news for you. Everything you've ever learned about growing your business is wrong. But don't worry. I'm here to let you in on a secret weapon: your position of market dominance. It's what sets you apart, makes you irreplaceable, and has customers lining up at your door. My name is Michael Barbarita from Next Step CFO. I know what you're thinking. Sounds great, Michael, but how do I find my position of market dominance? Well, that's exactly why we've created our game-changing implementation program called Next Step to Market Dominance. In just 90 days, we'll guide you step by step to a position of market dominance by uncovering your unique strengths that competitors can't touch, by crafting a message that resonates deeply with your ideal customer, by building a strategy that turns you into the go-to expert in your field. Now, this isn't theory. These are battle-tested strategies that have helped businesses like yours double, triple, and quadruple their revenue. Don't let another quarter go by struggling to stand out. It's time to dominate your market, period. Go to nextstepcfo.net/contact, fill out the form, and in the message section, put the word dominate. Or call us at 781-326-3822. That's nextstepcfo.net/contact, or call us at 781-326-3822.
So let me share another powerful strategy that we rarely talk about in business. It's called the Next Logical Purchase System. Now, this is something that Amazon does famously, just brilliantly. But any business can implement it, and here's how it works. For every product or service you offer, map out the next 3 things that your customer is likely to need. Not what you want to sell them, but what they actually are going to need. And let me give you an example from a contractor. When someone gets their kitchen remodeled, what's the next logical purchase? Well, often it's a new dining room furniture, or window treatments, and or outdoor kitchen or entertainment areas. Now, the contractor didn't sell any of these, but she partnered with businesses that did. And she created what she called a home evolution program, where she helped customers plan their home improvements over a 3-year period. Even if she wasn't doing all the work, she became their trusted advisor for all home improvements. And her average customer value went from $35,000 to over $100,000 in an 18-month period. Not because she was pushing sales, but because she was generally helping customers plan and execute their home improvement journey. And so this brings me to something really critical that most businesses completely miss: the difference between satisfaction and loyalty. You see, you can have satisfied customers who never come back, and you can have satisfied customers who will still shop with your competitors. So satisfaction isn't really enough. I learned this lesson the hard way in my ski business. We had a 95% satisfaction rate, but only 70% of the customers returned to the store to buy something else. Know what the problem was? We were measuring the wrong thing. We were asking customers if they were satisfied instead of what would make you absolutely certain to come back and buy something else. You see that two questions, how they're different, how they're different.
Yeah.
So when we started asking that second question, we discovered that our customers wanted something we had never considered. They wanted that ski guarantee, where they would be able to ski the ski 3 times. If they didn't like it, they could return it for a brand new pair. And they wanted to know that if they bought equipment from us, that we would ensure they had a great ski season. All they wanted was a great experience. They didn't want to, put one over on the business owner and bring back equipment 350 times. Right. They just wanted the great season, the great experience.
Michael, you struck a chord with that. So some folks are asking for you to repeat that question. So what's the way to pivot from the customer satisfaction question to the commitment question? Yep.
So what we then asked, we used to ask, are you satisfied? That's meaningless. What we then asked is, what would make you absolutely certain to come back and buy something else?
Brilliant.
What is it? What would make you absolutely certain? What is it that we can offer that would make you absolutely certain to come back and buy something else from us? Because that's what you care about. Like I said, we had a 95% satisfaction rate, but only 70% of the customers were returning to the store. If they were that satisfied, they'd ski every year. If they were that satisfied, how come they didn't come back? That's where satisfaction isn't enough. And a satisfied customer of yours can go to a competitor and buy. It doesn't preclude them to do it. Yeah, they were satisfied, but they happen to go to still go to a competitor. So let me give you a formula that'll help you. It's called the Value First Contact System. So every 30 days, provide something of value to your customers, not a sales pitch, just provide something of value. Then every 90 days, ask for feedback about their experience from what you provided them. And then every 180 days, review their needs again and suggest solutions. And then annually, conduct a comprehensive review of their relationship with your business. This stuff there's no question, this stuff takes time, but the value that it brings is just overwhelming because you're always communicating with your customer. And the key is to make every contact meaningful. Don't just send a newsletter that nobody reads. Send them something that makes your customers think, wow, they really understand my needs. So the best part of that is there's 0 additional marketing costs. You could do it with a telephone and email.
Spot on. So Michael, again, struck another nerve. I mean, this is, I think this particular episode might break some records, Michael, just with the feedback here. So folks are asking for you to just repeat those steps again, the 30 days, 90 days, 180. Yep.
So it's called the Value First Contact System. So every 30 days, you provide something of value to your customers. And then every 90 days, you ask for feedback about their experience and about maybe some of the value that you provided in the 30-day intervals. Then every 180 days, you got to review their needs and suggest any solutions. Okay, so you're back at them, and this could be through email, or it's better to contact a few customers. I know you don't have the time to contact all of them, but just to get a feedback. Believe it, when you get feedback from just a few customers, that represents a lot of customers.
That's true. Yep, representative.
So, yes. And then annually, conduct a comprehensive review of their relationship with your business. In other words, ask the question, did you shop somewhere else and why? It's okay. It's okay if they did, and give them permission to tell you that it's okay to say that they shopped somewhere else. But you'd love to know why. And that is very meaningful contact because no one does that. No one addresses the elephants in the rooms, in the various rooms.
Spot on.
Okay.
And what's remarkable about this too is it doesn't require that much time commitment given the ROI, right? So the comparative ROI to get these kinds of insights, Michael, seems very well worth it.
Definitely. Oh God. Yeah. With your existing customer base, it's incredible how you can multiply your business just with your existing base.
Exactly.
So let me share something powerful that, once again, I could have done in my retail business and I didn't do. And I'm kicking myself. But so when I owned Ski Town USA, we should have implemented some type of continuous value system. So instead of just selling ski equipment and saying goodbye until next season, we should have created multiple touch points throughout the year. And let me break this down because it's a real game changer. Most seasonal businesses think they can only make money during their peak season. Well, that's completely wrong. The way I should have looked at our customers is that they didn't stop being skiers just because there wasn't snow on the ground. And let me show you exactly how that what we should have done to turn a seasonal business into a year-round profit center. We should have mapped out the skier's annual journey. And here's what that would look like. So March and April, which is near the end of the season, we would offer free equipment inspection clinics, summer storage program, family ski planning sessions for the next season. Then in May and June, which is normally the off season, but you can still ski at Killington in Vermont. It's at times during those months, believe it or not. Ski fitness workshops, equipment maintenance workshops, and early bird fitting appointments, ski fitting appointments, and boot fitting appointments. And then July and August, the preseason would build up and the preseason equipment clinics would take place. Free boot fitting evaluations, because everybody complains how their boots hurt. Technical gear workshops, and a family growing needs assessment. And then in September and October, early snow preparation clinics, free ski tuning demonstrations, season kickoff events, and equipment update assessments. And here's what's fascinating. If we did a program like this, we would have developed real relationships with our customers. My God. The attitude we had was when the season was over, everyone thought about summer activities. But as I learned later, that is not necessarily true. And let me give you a specific example of how this would work. So let's say we had a customer, and his name is Tom, who bought his family ski equipment with us. In the old model, we would never see Tom again until something broke or his kids outgrew their equipment. But with a continuous value system, here's what would have happened. In April, Tom brought in the family equipment for an end of season evaluation. We identified that his daughter would need new boots next season due to growth. And instead of trying to sell him boots right then, we added this to her profile and scheduled a fitting session for her in September. Then in June, Tom attended our ski fitness workshop to get in shape for skiing. He brought two friends who actually both became customers. We wouldn't sell anything at this workshop, just teaching the proper conditioning for skiing. But those relationships would likely turn into sales later on. Then in August, we contacted Tom about his daughter's upcoming boot fitting. And during that conversation, we learned that his son had joined the high school ski team. And this led to a completely different equipment discussion. In October, the whole family came into our preseason tune-up clinic. We noticed Tom's skis were showing wear and suggested he demo some new ones during the upcoming season. So if you could see what happened here, we would have created multiple touch points, each delivering incredible value, which naturally led to additional sales opportunities. And we wouldn't be pushing products in those interim touch points, but we would be solving their problems and adding value throughout the year.
Yeah, Michael, react to this comment. Really helpful. So it seems like, and then this is from some business owners, and I'll sort of kind of synthesize what they're saying here. It seems like a prerequisite for all of this is having a good customer database system. So some kind of a CRM or a tool that helps you capture this kind of profile information for customers. What's your reaction to that?
Right. Well, it's amazing what we did back in the 80s, where the technology wasn't as good as it was now. We used to keep all of their information in a database, and there was no such thing as a CRM. I guess we made up our own, if you would.
Mhm.
But having a CRM that is like a Salesforce, and there are a number of CRMs that you could acquire. But having that CRM and really keeping it updated and having somebody do that
Yeah.
is critical to this process. Because in that example I just gave you, we had to have a footnote that Tom's daughter needed a boot fitting in September.
Exactly. And then some kind of a way to get notified once September rolls around, or at least someone to go in and check and see what are the upcoming action items, right?
Right.
Really, yeah, so very helpful, Michael. Thank you.
So here's where most business owners get it wrong, because they try to turn every interaction into a sales opportunity. That's a big mistake. We had a strict rule. 70% of all interactions had to be pure value add with no selling at all. And let me share another powerful strategy that we should have done. Once again, I have all these postmortems. Instead of just selling someone skis, we should have created a 3-year equipment plan. We would show the customer how their equipment needs would change as their skills improved. We just assumed that once their skills improved, they'd come back. That wasn't the case. Some did, but for the most part, what we would have really developed this particular strategy if we gave them an equipment plan when they bought their equipment, and then kept in touch with them about where they probably stood with that equipment plan and asked them questions along the way. And we would show the customer how their equipment needs would change as their skills improved. And this would have done 3 things. It would have positioned us as long-term advisors, not just sales weasels. It would have given customers a clear upgrade path. And it would have helped them budget for future purchases. And the potential this program would compound the lifetime value of a customer, which is so valuable. But more importantly, it would have turned our customers into our best marketers, because they would have started bringing their friends to our events, even in the off season.
And maybe even bragging about their skills going up, right?
Right. And in our way that we showed how their skills could progress as skiers. This is something that I really, really missed the mark on. And then, some of you are probably saying, but Michael, I'm not in the ski business, and how does this apply to me? Well, that's a fair question. Let me show you how the same system worked for a completely different business.
Please.
So there was this tax accounting firm. Talk about a seasonal business, right? Income tax. So everyone thinks accountants only matter during the tax season, right? Well, the same continuous value system would apply. We have first quarter, which is essentially the start of the tax season. Tax preparation services would ensue, current year tax planning, documentation organization systems for the customers of the clients, because they're always very poor at documenting what they can get tax deductions for and so forth. The second quarter would be mid-year tax reviews, business structure evaluations, cash flow optimization workshops for these individuals. The third quarter would be long-term tax planning strategies, business succession planning if they also owned a business, and investment tax impact analysis on their investments. The fourth quarter would be year-end tax planning, next year's preparation strategies, and family tax situations that come up during the year. So his revenue became, the accountants who did this, their revenue became more consistent during the year, and their client retention went from 71% to 94%. Why? Because he transformed from a tax preparer into a year-round tax advisor.
Interesting.
So it can happen with any seasonal business.
So, Michael, I mean, here's that's really good insight. How did he set the expectations with clients on that? So is this something you do on the front end? So once you're onboarding a new client, you lay out, hey, here's your annual service plan. How does that happen?
That's right. It's part of their sales process.
Okay.
Where they're actually demonstrating that they're not just a tax preparer, that they're a year-round tax advisor. Because here's how their process works. You know, if I'm the tax accountant, well, here's how my process works. In the first quarter, we do this. In the second quarter, we do that. In the third quarter, we do this. And in the fourth quarter, we do that. Now, if you do this all on a timely basis, when you prepare, and meaning the customer submits their information on a timely basis, this works famously, and they get all of their questions answered, and they get the maximum legal amount of refund or reduction of income tax. Works awesome.
It's so strategic, Michael. Really good insight.
Right. So the key to making this work in any business is just understanding that your customers don't stop needing help just because they're not actively buying. They're always in some stage of their journey with you on your product or service. Your job is to map out that journey and add value at each stage. So before I talk about another strategy, we're going to take a 90-second break.
Great.
Hey there, business owners. Let me ask you something. Are you tired of blending in with your competitors? Frustrated with slow growth and slim margins? Well, I've got news for you. Everything you've ever learned about growing your business is wrong. But don't worry. I'm here to let you in on a secret weapon, your position of market dominance. It's what sets you apart, makes you irreplaceable, and has customers lining up at your door. My name is Michael Barbarita from Next Step CFO. I know what you're thinking. Sounds great, Michael, but how do I find my position of market dominance? Well, that's exactly why we've created our game-changing implementation program called Next Step to Market Dominance. In just 90 days, we'll guide you step by step to a position of market dominance by uncovering your unique strengths that competitors can't touch, by crafting a message that resonates deeply with your ideal customer, by building a strategy that turns you into the go-to expert in your field. Now, this isn't theory. These are battle-tested strategies that have helped businesses like yours double, triple, and quadruple their revenue. Don't let another quarter go by struggling to stand out. It's time to dominate your market, period. Go to nextstepcfo.net/contact, fill out the form, and in the message section, put the word dominate. Or call us at 781-326-3822. That's nextstepcfo.net/contact, or call us at 781-326-3822.
So Chucky, let me share something that's powerful that most business owners never think about. And, you know, we've talked mostly about retention, but let's focus now on increasing the frequency of sale. Okay. And I'll be able to go through, I think, at least one example of this as time permits. Getting your customers to buy more often is really another key. And I'm going to show you a strategy that your competition isn't using. There was this home service business, specifically pressure washing. And like most of his competitors, he'd clean a customer's house and then hope they'd call him again the next year. And his average customer actually bought once every 18 months. But he completely changed his business model with what he called the service stacking system. And here's what he discovered. That his customers didn't just need their houses pressure washed, they needed deck cleaning and sealing, fence maintenance, driveway cleaning, gutter cleaning, and window washing and roof moss treatment. So instead of selling these as separate services, he created what he called home care packages. And here's where it got interesting. He mapped out every service a home might need throughout the year and created a schedule. For example, in the spring, house wash and deck preparation. Early summer, deck sealing and fence maintenance. Late summer, window cleaning and gutter check. Fall, driveway cleaning and gutter clearing. And then in the winter, the roof moss treatment. Now, instead of one service every 18 months, his customers were buying 4 to 5 services a year, and his revenue per customer went from $375 annually to $2,200. And here's what's really fascinating. His customers loved it because they didn't have to think about home maintenance anymore. He turned a reactive service into a proactive solution.
Remarkable.
Chucky, it's time for compliments.
Yes. So let's get into business compliments. And Michael, there are 5 business owners that we want to spotlight. Again, these are individuals coast to coast, even internationally, that are really making an impact. The first spotlight is Sunga Nkwezelamba. And he is a visionary, investor, and attorney. And this confluence of competence that Sunga has allowed him to really drive progress across a number of different business initiatives. In fact, he's the founder and CEO of Zim Rothschild. And he and his team at Zim Rothschild, they've created a brand that stands for more than just fashion. The brand is rooted in empowering who they call unicorns. And these are individuals and stakeholders that live boldly, break boundaries, and inspire change. And they really provide a platform for these unicorns to really excel. You can check out more about Sunga at zimrothschild.com. Also find out about more of his business ventures at stratfordventurepartners.com. The second business owner to spotlight is Ray DeMeo. He is the owner and operator of Sunshine Cleaning Systems. And he's been doing this work since 2007. And Michael, you and I have a great admiration for Ray's business acumen and just his technical expertise.
Oh,
He's
unbelievable.
A professional carpet, furniture, and tile maintenance company provider of services to the highest level of excellence. And I've got to say this about Ray, Michael, and I think we'll stretch a little bit of time here. So Ray places as much value on the health of a family's home as he does the cleanliness of that home, which is really, really impactful. So he goes above and beyond. And I love his website. So his website is letthesunshinein.net. Letthesunshinein.net. So Ray, continue to bring sunshine to your clients and stakeholders. The third business owner is Johnny Turnage. He's a co-founder of Black Tech Saturdays. Johnny Turnage and team have this vision to empower Black technology communities nationwide to really help to close the racial wealth gap through tech-focused initiatives while strategically driving economic growth and fostering diversity within the industry to really just help everyone access a level of prosperity. You can check out more about Johnny and team at blacktechsaturdays.com. Fourth, Matthew De Primo for Career Bridge IT Solutions. They're a specialized staffing company. They place veterans, women, international professionals, and people of color in STEM career paths and tracks. So that's science, technology, and beyond. So really, really impactful. And then the last but not least, Catherine Yoda Bear with oneapplication.me. And Catherine and team, you can check them out at oneapplication.me. They are mission-oriented. And here's their mission: to make the application process as easy as possible to connect people and businesses by saving time and resources. So they effectively provide a database where all of your information as a job hunter is stored. So Michael, look, these are incredible individuals doing incredible work. It's always an honor to spotlight these business owners. And I know a lot of this work is also related to our book interviews as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Chucky. And so before we wrap up today's show, let me give you 3 action items that you can implement immediately. Number 1, calculate your customer retention rate. If you don't measure it, you can't improve it. If you don't measure it, can't improve it. Yep. Create a value delivery calendar for the next 12 months for your customers. And then 3, review your customer database for additional service opportunities. And so remember, everything you've learned about growing your business might be wrong, but this statement is absolutely right. Your existing customers are your biggest opportunity for growth.
Yes.
To get a copy of the book, Powerful Business Strategies, simply go to our website, www.nextstepcfo.net. It's totally complimentary. And until next Monday at noon Eastern Time, for Chucky Obio, my name is Michael Barbarita, and remember, don't keep doing what your competition is doing.
You have been listening to Powerful Business Strategies, finding out that everything you ever learned about growing your business is wrong. Tune in next week and every week at noon Eastern Time on W4CY Radio with your host, Michael Barbarita of Next Step CFO and moderator Chucky Obio.